What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JP again, back with another video. And today, I'm about to showcase Bold. B-O-L-D. It's an all-new phone brand, Bold. Now, you don't have to do too much digging to find out that this is actually an all-new sub-brand by BLU. Bold Like Us. BLU. BLU from Miami. Most people know BLU very well. Whether you have good things or bad things to say about them. Last week, I did a video, possibly the first video, on their new flagship, the G9 Pro, which, to my knowledge, was their follow-up, the successor, if you will, to the Vivo 11 Plus from last year. I don't know that for certain. I'm just kind of assuming that. The G9 Pro, I didn't consider it a successor to the G9 that came out 3 months before, back in May, because to me that was more of a successor to the regular Vivo 11 that BLU also came out with this time last year. You know, they had the Vivo 11 and then the Vivo 11 Plus. And if you kind of, look at the spec for spec, you look at the G9, the G9 Pro, they kind of look like the obvious successors from the Vivo 11 and Vivo 11 Plus. I don't think that the G9 Pro was meant to be a G9 successor. I think it was meant to, complement the G9. The G9, but better. That's, just like last year. The Vivo 11 Plus was the Vivo 11, but better. It was the flagship. If you look at the specs of this phone right here, again, the name of the phone is not Bold. The name of the phone is actually N1. Bold is the brand. If you look in all of the material here, BLU's name isn't mentioned anywhere. Anywhere. Even on the phone, it says Bold. It does not have the BLU logo. When you start the phone up, it says Bold. It doesn't have the BLU startup screen. All of the literature says Bold. Even the charger says Bold. The tag that's on the braided USB Type-C cable in the headphones, Bold. The sticker, Bold. The booklet, Bold. Everything. But it's not rocket science. I mean, the box is set up just like how BLU's phones are all set up. You got your box in, it tells you your specs. And we'll get to that in a minute. But check it out. This phone, I was very impressed with the G9 Pro. The G9 Pro has been labeled as BLU's flagship. All of the literature to that says flagship. BLU calls it their flagship. Their YouTube video calls it that. Other, tech sites, like PhoneDog.com, calls it, BLU's flagship for 2019. And with, you look at the specs for the N1, it blows the G9 Pro out of the water. To say the G9 Pro, it's definitely a successor to the Vivo 11 Plus from last year, but it wasn't like a huge astronomical leap, from the Vivo 11 Plus. The upgrades that the G9 Pro had over the Vivo 11 Plus was more external, if you will. In design, sleekness, that nature, updated software, but it actually had the same processor as the Vivo 11 Plus had last year, the MediaTek Helio P70. Now, as I said in the video to the G9 Pro, and as I said in my video to the Vivo 11 Plus that I did last year, the Helio P70 is a beast. Given the price of the phones that it's normally found in, it's pretty boss. it's pretty boss. It's a fantastic chipset. It can definitely roll with the higher end Snapdragon 600 series chipsets. And when I say higher end, I mean like the 660, the 665. A couple people called me out when I was trying to compare it to the Snapdragon 670 and the 675, and that, it does kind of, get a little thinner and thinner, with that regard. But again, devices that have the Snapdragon 670 and 675, are still $350 and up. Your Galaxy A70 is about $350 with the 675. Your Moto Z4 with the same chipset is $500. Your Pixel 3a starts at God, I can't remember. I did a review on that phone and I can't remember, but the Pixel 3a is between what? I think it's $400. It is. It's $400, and it has a Snapdragon 670, not the 675. The 3A XL has the same 670, and it's priced at $480-ish or something like that. The Helio P60. It's I'm not disagreeing with what anybody said on my video about the G9 Pro. The Helio P60, I'll definitely clarify. It's more in line with the Snapdragon 660 and the 665. But that's still that's not a bad thing. The 665 itself is a new chipset, which I do have experience with the Xiaomi Mi A3, the Android One edition, the P60 is it's hard to believe. It feels like it just came out, but it is over a year old, year and a half, maybe even going on 2 years old. So it's definitely definitely time. I think it was definitely the right chipset to put in the Vivo 11 Plus last year. A lot of things I'm saying about it now, probably made a lot more sense this time last year. When you look at it spec for spec, processor for processor, the G9 Pro, I don't know if anybody's really paying attention to the LG Stylo 5 debacle that's going on right now, but a lot of people are very disappointed out of the Stylo 5 because it's essentially the Stylo 4 with Android 9 versus 8. So it was just a software upgrade that they could have done to the 4, to begin with. That's kind of how you keep loyal customers, is how you update older devices and whatnot. The G9 Pro, depending on who you talk to or what's actually on subject, it is a successor to the Vivo 11 Plus. But right here, the Bold N1 is even more so a successor. Many people consider this to be the true successor to the Vivo 11 Plus. But BLU, by creating an all-new brand, Bold, they're able to keep the G9 Pro listed as BLU's flagship. Because even though this is even better, and it's way better. It's way better. I know I keep talking and y'all are waiting. It's been 10 minutes almost. I'm sorry for the rambling. But this phone it blows the G9 Pro out of the water. But by creating an all-new sub-brand with Bold, which BLU has done here, obviously, they're able to keep the G9 Pro labeled as BLU's flagship. Because the N1 right here is for the Bold brand, not BLU. So, and like I said, they've really, for all of you car enthusiasts out there, a brand that I actually do have a lot of love for is Hyundai. And, recently Hyundai released a luxury brand based off the name of a model that they used to have in their lineup, Genesis. And they've they've done quite a lot to keep it separated from the Hyundai name, just because of the reputation that Hyundai had from the early '90s. And for the most part, people know that Genesis is still Hyundai. You know, just like Lexus is to Toyota, or Acura to Honda, Infiniti to Nissan, Cadillac to GM, etc. You get the picture. But you know, Genesis tries to hide itself from Hyundai a little bit more so than Lexus does to Toyota, for example, just because, you know, the whole reputation, you know, dig that, you know, Hyundai suffered in the early 90s. You know, and that's what Bold is here. It's, you know, Blue has actually done a really good job. I actually never had a problem with Blue. Never did. I actually recently watched a video from Jay Will about the Axon 10 Pro, and he briefly brought up Blue. And he only had to, he's never had to use a phone's warranty, he said, except one time on a Blue phone, and Blue got it fixed for him, and made him happy, and that was that. They held their end of the warranty. He never discussed exactly which phone it was. He said it was a few years back. And that was that. I've had many Blue phones and haven't really had any issues here. But let's go over the specs. I know y'all are waiting for this here. I just want to go over the very short history of Bold and what it stands for here. This phone is everything. Everything. Check it out. 6.4-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED. All screen. That's right. It has a pop-up selfie camera. It's a 13 megapixel. Has Gorilla Glass 5 front and back. We'll get to that new Helio P70 here in a second here. Of course, it has AI technology. Has 128 gigs internal. It does have expansion. 4 gigs of RAM. Should have been 6, honestly, but the price, just wait to hear the price. It's insane. Metal and glass design, obviously. Android 9 Pie. It does have 18-watt fast charging and fast wireless charging. I think the wireless charging is 10-watt. 3,500 milliamp battery. A little bit smaller than the G9 Pro, which had a 4,000. And that's right, in-display fingerprint sensor. I mean, this thing has anything you could wish for except NFC. I did see somebody on Blue's Facebook page last week ask if the G9 Pro had NFC, and Blue actually gave an answer that I wasn't expecting. Instead of the typical no, they kind of came out right and said that Blue doesn't put NFC in any of their phones. So it's obviously a preference of Blue for whatever reason. Honestly, I think it has to do with security. You know, Blue had that big security fallout a couple years back with that one phone, and I forgot which phone it was. Y'all could probably refresh my memory in the comments. I know it was one that I didn't ever get. Was going to and never did. I think I had its predecessor, whatever phone it was. But they had a huge security fallout to a point where Amazon even took all of their products off. That's how big it was. I think that's kind of why Blue doesn't do NFC. It's a security concern. They don't want to get in trouble for anything. You notice a lot of times on my channel, I rarely even mention NFC. I forget to mention if a phone even has it or not. The G9 Pro, I never mentioned if it did or didn't. I just raved about its specs for its price and said nothing about NFC. I'm surprised no one even asked me in the comments. And obviously it didn't. NFC was never a big deal to me because I switch phones too much, and I also use iPhone and Android. And when I say Android, I use Samsung products too. The thing of it is, you can only have one bank set to a certain payment wireless technology at one time. See, I can't have Apple Pay and Android Pay on the same card. See what I'm saying? And also, every time you switch your SIM card in and out, it also resets, and you have to call the bank back to reset the card back onto Android Pay or Apple Pay, whatever you are using or whatnot. It's one thing to take the SIM out and put it back into the same phone, but when you take it out and put it in other phones, it resets everything. And again, I can't use Apple Pay and Android Pay at the same time on one card. And I don't have a ton of multiple different freaking cards, you know. So, you know, nor do I even carry my iPhone and Android at the same time. I just use both, but that doesn't mean I carry both. I still only have one service, and I switch my SIM card in and out. So, you know, NFC to me is really more of a hassle. The way I switch phones, it's more of a hassle. Because right now, I'm going between this, the Bold N1, and the, and I just did a video, and I'm actually using it to record this, the Asus ROG Phone 2. I do have an iPhone, an iPhone XR, which I've barely been using. But besides that, I'm using the Bold N1 right here and the Asus ROG Phone 2. And, you know, and I've been switching the SIM card out all day between the ROG Phone 2 and the Bold N1. I did briefly have it in my iPhone earlier too. Just to check something. So yeah, NFC is not as important to me as other people. It's not a deal breaker, but I do understand it's important to the majority of people, so I'm trying to get better about mentioning that. But let's get to this phone right quick. This thing is a beast. It is a beast. The in-display fingerprint sensor works just as you would think. It works very well. It's not the fastest, but it works great. It has a dual camera instead of the triple that the G9 Pro has. So if you want the triple, the G9 Pro is the way to go. It is the same two sensors as the main two on the G9 Pro. It's really the only difference is the third lens. You know, obviously, it still has the main. It still has the main lenses there. The front facing is the 13 megapixel. It is a pop up. Let's get to that there. There it goes. I do find that it pops up kind of slower than the OnePlus 7 Pro or the Redmi K20 and K20 Pro. Which is, you know, of course the K20 is the same as the Xiaomi Mi 9T, which I've had on this channel. The pop-up camera is a little bit slower. But it works. It works flawlessly. And it might just be me, honestly. You know, just now it seemed like it was just as fast. So might have just been me playing with it earlier, and I just kind of thought that to myself. But it works really well. The in-display fingerprint sensor works really well. It's freaking AMOLED. It's 1080p. I do want to go to this box right quick and check out the rear camera. 16 megapixel. AI and 5 megapixel depth sensor. That's for the rear. It does feature the all new super pixel 96 megapixel super zoom that was featured on the G9 Pro, because the regular G9 actually had a 52 megapixel super pixel type technology. The G9 Pro bumped it up to 96. I wasn't sure what this was going to have because it was using a dual lens instead of the triple lens. So I didn't know if maybe it was going to revert to the 52 that the G9 had with its dual lens. But it has the 96 super pixel technology that the G9 Pro has with its triple camera, even though this only has the dual camera setup. I mean, of course, it's a software thing anyways. But I have put it through its paces, and honestly, I found that the camera on the N1 right here is actually better than the G9 Pro. The G9 Pro, the take stills very well, but the video was really shaky. On this, the stills are even better, and the video is astronomically better. You know, and to my knowledge, it's the same hardware minus a lens. So I don't know if it's something to do with the software, because the software is the same too. But I have been thoroughly impressed with this. Maybe it's just more optimized. I'm not really sure. I can't really tell for sure. Very stockish Android, just like the G9 Pro that I raved about. I went over that for like 5 minutes on that video. Very little bloat. You're able to delete it or disable it like the Opera browser. Heck, I think the Opera browser was the only bloat, honestly. It has that games hub that was also on the G9 Pro. That also is a blue thing. I've never seen that before the G9 Pro, but the G9 may have had it. I didn't. I never got the G9, so I'm not sure. But yeah. I do want to go back to the box here and go to the processor right quick. You see, it has the Helio P70. And, the P70, is the obvious upgrade from the P60. A lot of people probably felt that the G9 Pro should have had the Helio P70 if it was, in fact, the Vivo 11 Plus's successor, because that already had the P60 from last year. But again, there is other things to upgrade in a phone besides just the processor all the time. I still consider the G9 Pro a successor over the Vivo 11 Plus because it upgraded everything else except the core, processor and RAM. Better screen, better, more modern design, front and back for that matter. Gorgeous phone. Had the shark waves in the back of it. And the Bold-in-1 right here just takes that to the next level. Check out the back. This is a very sexy phone. It is thin, y'all. It really is. This camera is not doing it any justice. It feels freaking fantastic in the hand. Check that blue that's in the lighting there. I am digging this phone. I really am. The Helio P70 is really right next to MediaTek's flagship P90, which has now kind of been succeeded by the G90, but the Helio G90 is just a gaming-centric version of the P90. Kind of like what Qualcomm did with the Snapdragon 730G. It's the 730, but it's more gaming-centric. There's really no need to really no reason to get into a Helio P90 versus Helio G90. The fact of the matter is the P70 right here that's found in the N1. I only know of one other phone that has that chipset. I know there's other ones, but as far as being released in the US, it was the Umi Digi S3 Pro, and I was not impressed with that phone. That phone, I sent that thing back immediately. And the sad thing is that actually had more RAM. That had 6 gigs versus the 4 that this has, and this just blows it out of the water. I knew it wasn't the processor. I loved the Helio P60. I had tons of devices with it, so I knew that the P70 was going to. I knew that the P70 was really going to take everything I really liked out of the P60 and make it even better, and it has. The N1 right here has proven that. And the pricing, the pricing makes sense. It made sense, as I talked about with the G9 Pro. It made sense that it was, to me, it was, again, it was still the successor to the Vivo 11 Plus because even though it had the same chipset, the price reflected that. It wasn't, the P60 was newer this time last year, obviously, and the Vivo 11 Plus had a $300 to $350 price tag, and it was worth, and that phone was worth $450 this time last year, honestly. Had it not have been for the Pogo Phone F1 that came out around the same time, Blue probably could have sold it for $350 to $400 instead of $300 to $350. And even then, being that it was designed for the U.S., it was still worth that because the Pogo Phone F1 was not designed for the U.S. It didn't have all of the LTE bands that the Vivo 11 Plus had. So it was kind of a trade-off. Do you get the best of the best processor, or do you tone it down and get more LTE bands? I thought that the Vivo 11 Plus was priced accordingly, if not lower than accordingly. Fast forward a year later, the G9 Pro, the MSRP is $250, and it's worth that $250. And I think it's still available on Amazon for only $200. It came when it launched. It launched with a $200 price tag. And normally those deals that BLU and Amazon do at launch, they only last 24 to 72 hours. But last time I checked, the G9 Pro was still $200, and it's definitely worth $250. I actually paid $270 or $280 for mine, and I found that was worth it. The Bowden one, I think I actually got this at the introductory price, but we won't know until 9/9/19. That's right. September 9th, 2019 is when BLU will be launching the all-new brand Bold. That's the launch date. 9/9/19. September 9th, 2019. It's 5 days away. Today's the 4th as of this recording. If I'm not mistaken, it's the day before Apple's event. So Bold is definitely Bold there. But I don't see either getting in the way of one another. I mean, you're going to have, they're not, neither one of them are going to hurt from each other. But 9/9/19, which I think is next Monday, if I'm not mistaken, might be Tuesday, but that is when BLU is set to launch their all-new sub-brand, their new luxury brand, Bold. I don't know the MSRP. The MSRP for this device, I think, is $350. I actually caught it on pre-order on Amazon for $300 back 2 weeks ago, right before I received the G9 Pro. But the story gets a little weirder because 2 days later, a day after I got the G9 Pro, that same listing was $250 from $300. So I quickly canceled that pre-order for $300 and then pre-ordered it at $250. It shipped. Here it is. And I got it for $250, and the story actually gets even crazier because there's two sellers. You got Amazon and you got BLU, but they both ship from an Amazon warehouse. If you order from Amazon, you're charged tax. But if you order the one that's from BLU, that still comes with Prime shipping, there's no tax. So it was literally the difference of like $22, because from Amazon it was going to be $272. From BLU it was $250 even, $249.99 to be exact. So that's what I got this phone for, $249.99. Out the freaking door. And yes, I don't know if I went over it. I know it's on the box. If y'all saw it, this has wireless charging too. Pop-up selfie camera, all screen. And I'm gonna tell you something. Speaking about all screen, you put the Xiaomi Mi 9T, aka the Redmi K20 and the K20 Pro, have the same exact size screen, 6.4 inches, and they're full HD AMOLED, just like this pop-up selfie. The bezels on those aren't as thin as it is on this. It's beast. The thinnest bezels I have seen on an all-screen phone with a pop-up selfie. The bezels on this are thinner, top and bottom anyways, to the OnePlus 7 Pro. I think I don't have it handy anymore. I sold it the other day. Obviously, it's not going to be thinner on the sides because the OnePlus 7 Pro actually has dual edge screen like your Samsungs have. But I think as far as top and bottom goes, especially the top, the bottom, I'm starting to second guess it. But the top definitely is thinner on this phone. And as far as the Redmi K20 series and the Xiaomi Mi 9T series, which is the same thing, same size screen, same technology, this is thinner. The bezels are thinner. The phone itself is thinner. The phone is lighter weight. Just as beautiful in my opinion. I think the Xiaomi's used Gorilla Glass 5. They may have used 6. I'm not sure at that price point, but this has Gorilla Glass 5 for what it's worth. And y'all, this phone is freaking amazing. The performance has been out of this world. The Helio P70, it's going to be new to most people because not many devices have came stateside yet with that chipset besides the Umidigi S3 Pro. which I just it wasn't the hardware in that phone; it was the software optimization. It's terrible, but Bold, they did it. I'm trying my best not to say blue because I do respect the new brand. I really do. I'm feeling this phone, y'all. I really am. This thing is freaking amazing for the price. I mean, I can't believe I paid $250. My last video about the gaming phone, the Asus ROG Phone 2. You know, you're basically getting, you know, damn near $1,100 to $1,200 worth of specs out of the ROG Phone 2 for only $570, which is what I got it for off of eBay. And you know, if I was to recommend a $1,000 phone, it would be the ROG Phone 2, even though it costs nowhere near $1,000. I would recommend the ROG Phone 2. The Snapdragon 855 Plus and everything it has going for it is just, it's insane. If I was to recommend a phone under 400, possibly even under 500, man, I would say the Bold N1. I really would. You know, under 500, under 400, you know, we're kind of getting into the Pixel A territory. We're getting into the Redmi K20 territory. You know, so I'm not gonna say it's without its competition. You have to kind of decide what's better for you, but don't just look at it from the processor, because you know the Helio P70. You know, we can argue all day long if the P60 is you know how it you know fares against the Snapdragon 660, 665, 670, 675, but the Helio P70 definitely competes with the Snapdragon 670. And you know, if you want to talk about the Pixel, I know they already got Android 10, which is freaking phenomenal. I would not talk anybody out of that, but you're still paying $400 for the small one and $480 for the large one, which is going to match the size of this. This is actually still a bigger screen, 6.4 inches versus 6 inches, because the Pixel 3a XL is not all screen. You're still getting stockish Android. They do guarantee 2 years of updates with the Bold brand. I'm sure they're going to go over that on their announcement. I know a lot of people are really iffy about Blue's promises, but don't buy these phones for the future update. Because honestly, these phones are priced so low that you'll be able to afford the successor a year from now with the latest software. You know, Jay Will talks about that all the time, and he doesn't quite go into detail about what you can and can't afford, but I'm telling you though that man, I mean, you know, you spend $250 for this now, you spend $250, $300 for its successor this time next year to get the latest software. You know, because Android 9 just became outdated. Android 10 just freaking came out yesterday. So I mean, stop. You know, don't look at it like that. You know, look at your savings. $250. Dude, I'm telling you, even at $350, this phone is worth it, and I think that's going to be the MSRP. Blue might even hit the sweet spot of $300 MSRP, but I think the introductory price is $250. That's what I got it for. I think I got lucky. But $350, I think, would be the MSRP, and even at $350, this phone is dude. Look what it offers. It offers a more up-to-date processor. I mean, it pretty much is up to date, you know, minus the Helio P90. I mean, that thing just came out, you know, before the summer, so you're not going to find that in many devices anyways, even devices overseas where they normally hit first. So, I mean, as far as we're concerned here stateside, the P70 is the latest from MediaTek. I mean, it definitely competes at least with the Snapdragon 670, in my opinion. I mean, you're getting an all-screen display, and it's AMOLED. Blue hasn't done an AMOLED phone in years, since the Pure XR, if I'm not mistaken. The Vivo series, for those of y'all that don't remember, Blue's Vivo series used to be exclusively AMOLED panels. It was a way of making AMOLED, for accessible for anyone. But they kind of veered from that. This is their first AMOLED phone in quite a while. It's AMOLED, man, Helio P70, pop-up camera, all screen. It's 1080, full HD. In-display fingerprint sensor, wireless charging. Come on now. Come on. $350? Compare this to the Pixel 3a XL. Compare this to the Moto Z4. Compare this to the Galaxy to the Galaxy A70. I'm telling you, you are not going to be able to. It's not happening. I mean, if Android 10 is all you have, or NFC, then hey, you know, get those. I'm not going to talk you out of it. But this phone, the LTE is lightning fast too, y'all. It's for some reason it seems so much faster than the G9 Pro. I don't know why. And the G9 Pro, the LTE was fine. I had no problems. This just seems, the data seems even faster. The presentation's on point here. Y'all check this out. This phone is freaking amazing. BLU is freaking going the luxury route now. Super impressed. This is their sub-brand, their Axon, if you will. I mean, this thing has, I mean, everything going for it, man. Stockish Android. Again, amazing Helio P70. Wireless charging. Oh, man. In-display fingerprint sensor. Pop-up selfie camera. This thing is nearly bezel-less. I mean, it's the same size, you know, dimensions virtually as the K20 Pro. This thing, you know, man, this thing, you know, because the K20 with the Snapdragon 730, I would say would be a better buy because you can get that for under $300 right now on Amazon. But you're missing several bands for the US. And I'm not just talking about T-Mobile bands, which is common with overseas devices, but you're also missing crucial AT&T frequencies as well, which is uncommon for a lot of overseas devices. I find a lot of them do have the proper bands for AT&T, but the Redmi K20 is not one of them. I have experience with the Xiaomi Mi 9T, which is the same thing. But y'all, be on the lookout. 9919 Bold is coming. Y'all scoop this up. You can still get it on Amazon for $250. It just has a different phone in the picture. It has a flip phone in the picture, and it says BLU TBD, to be determined. But all you do is you type in BLU Bold N1, and the first thing that pops up with the flip phone in the image, and it says BLU TBD, $249.99 Prime. That's it. Just make sure to go, you know, whatever the tax laws are in your state, make sure to switch it between Amazon and BLU, whoever the seller is, to see what you get the best deal on. But pick it up now before they change it. I'm serious. Because they're getting ready to, because at one point it did actually have this phone as the icon, and it said BLU Bold N1. But they changed the icon, the picture, and the name, but it still pops up when you type in BLU Bold N1. And of course I can see why, because they're changing the brand. It's not gonna they're trying to get BLU out of the name completely. But y'all check this out, Bold N1. This phone is just amazing. Check out those specs again. You're not gonna come close. Like I said, $250. This is a steal. This is a steal. $300. Still a steal. Still a steal. $350. I still consider a steal. This phone is amazing for what you get. I mean, this is budget phone of the year, and it's not even a budget phone. It's not even a mid-range. It's a mid-range premium. But anyways, man, sorry for the long video. I hope y'all enjoy this. Y'all check it out. This phone is amazing.